I've been very hands-on with my business in terms of selling, also running a bigger team. And it just you get caught up in the whole thing where you don't realise how much you're paying people in terms of splits and putting on extras in terms of associates or PAs. Yes, to a point, yes. And also look at cash in the bank, and which is probably the wrong things to look at. You've got to look at your KPIs and where you're at, but also the fact of looking at cash in the bank, and when it's going up, you think you're making profit. When it's going down, you think, oh, I must be losing money.
Yes.
And just, we were looking at the wrong things. Well, it's probably when I looked at the dashboard,
right,
and we were in the red.
Yes.
And that was showing that we were so far behind, and it was on a rolling quarter. And I think that's where I think we spoke.
Yeah.
You asked how I was.
Yep.
And then, basically I told you how I was, where things weren't going right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're feeling at that stage angry, frustrated, anxious? What sort of feelings are you going through?
I think I was still fairly calm, but I knew that I knew
you did act calm.
But I knew what was coming. I just, because of years gone by, it was deja vu. It was basically, I thought, if we keep going the way we are, it's not going to be nice. So it won't be pretty. We will be actually in trouble. So we needed to change it, and we needed to change it quickly. So that's where you came into it, and we made some decisions there that were pretty harsh.
So on our tool here, we're going to see that we have a situation where we've got a gross loss in sales division. Now this gross loss, big red speedo, minus 28.3%. We're seeing here the result, which is highlighting, you've got lowering revenues from agents. You can see that the gross margin is now negative, which means for every $100,000 you brought in, you're going to lose $28,000 at that point in time. You had the same rough numbers of agents, your productive agent numbers are sort of hovering, but if we look at the bottom left chart, it's a loss. We're in the loss situation, a gross loss situation for sales. It's what the hell's going on?
Well, firstly, the salespeople's packages, they all went on to commission only.
Yeah. And what do we introduce as well at the same time?
And then
taking them off a wage and then put them on commission only, we introduced.
Well, they get to pay for the PA.
Yeah, but they also got given upside through higher tiered commission structures.
That's right.
Yeah. However, the first tier, we didn't get too aggressive on. That's the one we call the golden tier.
Yeah, we kept that at a fixed percentage. That was in line with making the business healthier and profitable. And I think that was probably in some ways the hardest bit, because they all wanted to go into flat, higher tier commissions, but it was really important to get that first tier right.
Yes. Now it's this golden tier, which is where the secret to making money in real estate sales is to make sure the house gets paid first.
Yes.
And then you can share in the upside for the agents to go right as much as they like and as much as risk as they want. And they can invest in a PA should they want to. Now, from an agent's point of view, what you've just said to them is, I'm going to stop paying you and I'm going to give you a $6,000 a month cost. Most business owners are thinking, they're not going to stay. You're kidding. Is that what you were thinking?
Well, we thought that would happen. A few of them would walk, and we were prepared to let it happen. We were ready for it.
Weren't you fearful of going backwards?
No, because we knew we had to go do this to go forward.
Yeah.
We couldn't, there was no other way.
Okay.
There was definitely no other way.
How many people do you think, if you went into an employment situation, you walked in and said, right, I'm not going to pay you anymore and I'm going to give you $6,000 a month of costs. You're going to swallow that, and then I'm going to make sure you're happier at work. It doesn't sound like it's possible. What was the conversations like as you took them through this significant change, material change, overnight change? But let's remember, was it essential this change happened? It was a business case. It had to change.
Couldn't go any other way. Had to happen.
So you had no change. You had made the decision. No, we've got to do this.
Yes.
If they left, we're going to accept that they left.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're fearful of all that, and the reality is, this sounds crazy. In the end, we conducted a whole series of one-on-ones. How did those meetings go?
They were tough, but they went well. I mean, they were pretty receptive to it. I think it helped having you part of those one-on-ones. I mean, if I went in there on my own, try to sell, this, but they could see that there was a benefit for the business too, for the business to keep going the way it was going, because we are a large business, and they were receptive to it. The difference was I think they all knew deep down that once they got the numbers explained, that it couldn't go on. I think that was one of the other things too. They were all smart enough to realise that, yes, we're right.
Yeah. So we gave them some choice. We sat there and said, right, well, don't think you should keep your PA. You don't think you can get any value out of it. They will be your responsibility. But you did something which I had sort of said, listen, I don't think anyone, some of these PA/associates or lead generation agents aren't up to the mark. They should go today, because you can see that saving flow through immediately. But none of the agents that were underperforming said that's the case. So of course the question is, well, how are they going to afford to pay them? So you didn't just roll out change. You spoke to them clearly and said, I'm going to make the change for debit credit immediately on the 1st of January. That gave them 3 months heads up. Let's get your listing volumes up. But we're going to subsidise and run off the PA. I'll maintain that and run that down from 100% subsidy to 50%, down to 25%. So the 1st of July, 9 months later, you were going to say, that's when we turn off the tap for PAs, and we hope you got enough lead into it. But did you go back selling? Did you sell? Did you have the urge to go back and just fix this problem by selling this time?
I had the urge, but I didn't do it.
You didn't do it.
No.
So what you invested in was keeping in touch with the agents that you were transforming.
Yes.
And the second thing, you kept a close guard with the lead generation team to keep them motivated, but also tell them you're there to guide them, but the accountability will be going to that individual listing agent.
Yeah.
We're shifting the responsibility and risk.
Yeah, it was. And also, in saying that, their turnover, every one of them had their turnover increase once they started doing this. They were actually doing much better than they were before. They just picked up, I don't know what it was, that they just thought now.
What was happening in the office leading up to July?
I think that last quarter was really where it all changed, where I think they realised...
It's the June quarter.
Yeah.
The last one before, it's all there.
I mean, there was conversations about commission splits and things like that, but that probably came later again.
Yeah.
But it was, you could see that they were starting to pick up the mantle, and they were also starting to work their associates or their PAs in a different manner. But they still weren't fully committed to the PAs in terms of how they would run them.
And then the 1st of July to the 30th of September, I want to show, we're going to flip up the screen now and show the post-change result. We start at -28 and then we go bang. You tripled your turnover. Your agent numbers productive went up. Your margin's no longer -28, it's positive 30.2. And remembering REIP's showing 22% is industry average. And your profit went up because your fixed overhead stayed the same. That's called a win, win, win. And how many agents did you lose?
None.
How many PAs got sacked?
None at that stage.
None at that stage. But we've now got to change. That some people might say, oh, so what? I go, your bottom line result went from one number to another number, and the year-on-year difference was 7 digits. Your 12-month result was over $1 million more profitable than the year before.
Yes.
I put it to you as an expert in this, that no one in this room has ever turned around a profitability like that in Australia through not selling, nurturing the current team, and not losing a staff member when giving them a PA to pay for themselves, and change their package. There's a hell of a result, Rob, and you didn't sell one extra house.
No.
Do you understand what you achieved?
When you put it like that, I do.
Yeah. Sometimes it's the bleeding obvious that you don't see.
Yeah.
This is an incredible result, Rob. And I think you should be really, really proud of yourself. But the thing you've had to learn through this is you now look at your data. And when do you know your profitability is right? When do you look at your results and go, I show my wife that?
Yeah, so it's not a commercial just for Reap here, but it is. It really is. I actually was sharing, my wife is also my partner in the business, as is my son. And we started to share the data, have a look at it, and really look at the numbers differently, because all of a sudden I started to understand what they all meant. It's a lot easier because, I mean, we traditionally looked at how many listings we had, you know, our success rate, our auction numbers, also looking at our, you know, P&Ls, which don't really tell the whole story, where with the dashboard I was able to find out where, you know, is it director profits? So, you know, Marcus being one of the directors, is it him making up most of the money, or are we spending too much here or there? And it makes a difference. And it's real time. So as quickly as we can put the numbers in, it's giving you that rolling quarter. So it's not just, the month that just passed or the quarter just passed. It sort of gives you that rolling idea of this is what is happening. You've got to give them value for money. I mean, that's probably the first thing as a business owner.
Turning up to work.
Turning up to work. I'm there every day.
Not going missing.
No. I mean, you have your holidays, you can take more time off, but you are still running a business. I mean, you need to be there. You need to, know what everyone's doing and being on top of it. And what happens is you've got salespeople that are running PAs, and sometimes they lose focus on what the PA's KPIs are or where they're at. So you've got to be able to give them a nudge and say, look, these numbers aren't right. You need to there needs to be a bit of an improvement with your guy. How about we, work on that? And I think that's the difference now, is I can mentor better than I could before, where I was out listing and selling and doing other stuff where, I was just another salesperson in the business. Well, I think it's got to be real leadership, not just turn up and talk about nothing. It's got to be real leadership, and they've got to feel that they're actually getting something out of it. Because the day that they stop getting anything out of my leadership is the day they start looking at, their commission cards.
Yes, interesting.
That's what becomes more important, because I don't get anything out of this place. I just want more commission. Well, they'll go on.
So the leadership premium is something like, people call it political capital. You earn it and you've got it, but it can easily disappear. And once it disappears, they start going, where's my con?